Mr. Clerk? Mr. Clerk, how are we?
Give me 1 second, sir.
No, it still did.
Paul, I think that we, I think we can run through this very quickly.
Yeah.
Paul, I think we can run through this very quickly.
I have billing sheets set up.
As quickly as you'd like.
with the
Okay,
calculations.
perfect.
Recording in progress.
All right. Well, good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to the second budget hearing for September 25th, 2025 at 5:01 p.m. It is currently 5:01 p.m. Before we get started, I want to thank staff for all your hard work. Thank you for making it to the finish line. God willing, we're able to close this out as quickly as possible. Thank you for your hard work. We don't get here without you. I want to thank our manager and his team, the DCM, the ACM. Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you for producing a great budget that we try to meet as many of our obligations and as many of our needs. Sometimes we fall short, but we try to do the best we possibly can, balancing fiscal responsibility and ensuring that we meet the needs of this community. So getting started, Paula, let's get this going.
Thank you. Paula Rodriguez, Assistant Finance Director for Management, Budget, and Compliance. Just to echo the mayor, I'd like to thank my staff as well and our department directors. This is not just my effort. This is a culmination of all of our department directors and my staff who make this happen each year, and of course the support of the commission and the city manager's office. So just for the record, Pedro Garcia, Senior Management Budget Analyst, Chris Garcia, Ivan Baez, Management and Budget Analyst, and Anami Garcia, our Internal Audit and Grants Coordinator. And so thank you for all of your support and for making me look good every day. So today is our second hearing for our fiscal 2025-2026 budget. As you know, this is a culmination of many months of coordination. And so I'm going to go ahead and share our presentation today. The purpose of today is we will be setting the final millage for fiscal year 2026 and adopting the 2026 operating and capital budget. So the first slide is a quick recap of our calendar, everything that leads up into our budget process. And so we've seen this now a couple of times. And so today we are at the final day, September 25th, our second budget hearing. So thank you all.
Thank you.
This next slide demonstrates any changes from the first hearing. There are no changes in revenue or expenditures from the first hearing. So our total revenues are $313,573,494, and our total expenditures are $313,573,494 for a balanced fiscal year 26 budget. The budget summary also has not changed, and so you'll see here our operating revenues are just over $281 million. Our transfers in from reserve are $32,361,411 for a total revenue of $313,573,494. Our operating expenditures are $245,748,007. Our capital expenditure budget for next year is $53,021,235, and our debt service is $10,582,190 for a total expenditure budget of $309 million. And then our transfers to reserve, expected transfers at the end of fiscal year, total $4.2 million, including $4.2 million that we will transfer from parking for the training of debt service in that fund for a total budget of $313,573,494. No changes to our capital from the last presentation, and so you can see here on our screen the totals by category. I'll go through the screen very quickly. Excuse me. For the total capital budget of $57,096,897, and that includes the automotive budget, which is also part of the operating. The next screen shows our total millage, which includes the city's millage, the county millage, the school board millage, and the regional millage. So the total millage compared to the other 34 municipalities in the county. And the blue highlighted columns are the full-service cities that we compare ourselves to. You can see that we are second lowest in the full service when you consider Key Biscayne, and we are the 10th of all municipalities throughout the county. Municipal millage rate for full-service cities by tax year. You saw this in the last presentation. Nothing has changed here. And so our millage has also been maintained now for the 11th year at 5.559, which is the millage that we are presenting today. Excuse me. Okay. This is the chart, which also has gone unchanged, that shows the comparison of the cents per dollar that each of our taxpayers pay to the city compared to the county, compared to the school board, and compared to regional. And so you note that our residents, every 31 cents of the dollar paid for taxes by our residents goes to the city of Coral Gables, 36 cents goes to the school board, 32 to the county, and about 1 cent to the regional. Our annual pension contributions, we've discussed this at length over the last couple of months, and so our pension contribution is remaining at just about $31 million. The extra payment is being reduced from $9.5 million to $7.6 million. That reduction is due to the retiree COLA that was granted, and our required contribution has increased since last year. Our funded ratio has also changed, so from 23 to 24, we've gone from 75% funded to 74.5% funded. And the last chart is an analysis of our general fund reserve, and so at the end of fiscal year 25, we are funded at just over $59 million, which is our 25% required reserve policy. So that is the extent of my presentation. The city attorney is going to read into the record the ordinance first, levying our millage. So levying our taxes, our proposed millage rate of 5.559 is 6.5% over the rollback millage rate of 5.1951.
Okay.
If there's any other
Before we vote on this
questions.
really quickly, I just want to mention a few things, and I just want to have hopefully some support from my colleagues on the commission. I know that, Mr. Manager, that we may have a little bit of income that may come in. We may see some, a little bit of fluidity kind of in the money. Not a lot, but maybe there's something that may come in. I'm hoping, or maybe we don't have to spend something. These are things that I would like for us to consider. And I mentioned to you before, I think our ACM and our DCM wrote a lot of them down. I just want to remind you, the improvements to the youth center baseball cages, I know it's about a $50,000 to $100,000 amount. It's sorely needed. We've been getting a lot of calls of that. I want to make sure that we allocate funds for traffic calming study for Country Club Prado. We're going to study there. We may need some stop signs, some traffic calming. I just want to, these are small amounts. I mean, it's just for real, just kind of real to study, to understand what we need for next year's budget. I also want to make sure that we really look in regards to the Granada pedestrian and bicycle accessibility and safety, what we talked about. What Commissioner Fernandez said, maybe look into doing a one-way. I know it's going to take, Greenway. It's going to take a lot of public input. I understand that, but we're just looking at things and opportunities. I mean, what could a study cost her? $25,000, $20,000, something, bringing in an engineering study to kind of look and get us ready for next year. These are big projects that potentially may be big or may be small, but I want to really focus and get that allocated. We have the flagler section here, correct?
Yes.
I want to make sure it's taken care of. For the North Gables traffic calming, we talked about Country Club Prado. Oh, I really want to see if we can spend a few dollars for the study of the Cocoa Plum area, like I mentioned, and the Cocoa Plum Circle. Cameras, please. And the camera. Again, these are things, these are not huge ticket numbers. And if we have extra money, these are wish items that I think it'll make it easier for staff. It'll make it easier for police, fire, It'll make us a little bit have some eyes and ears in places that we really don't have them. And that's pretty much it. I also want to recognize Commissioner Orbis. She sent her staff here to be with us again for the second and final hearing. I appreciate and thank our best to our commissioner. So these are just things that I would like aspirational to consider. And my colleagues have anything, these are small ticket items, more study in preparation for next year. Yes, Madam Vice Mayor.
So I'll start first by just adding that, and I probably should have mentioned it during the commission meeting, we did our preliminary, I'm going to call it a feasibility study by staff before we spend money on doing the ADA compliance under the walkway under Cocoa Plum Circle. And yes, it did, at least from drawing out the tape measure, look like it was going to be feasible to take the next step. The other thing I'd ask to have some money set aside for in the budget if we have the opportunity is that mobility update on the trolley service program, and the manager can tell us a figure as to what we should have in a way of contribution for a TMA agreement together with all the stakeholders. We need to get all around the table and determine a contribution amount to be able to get it up and running. Because the sooner we do it, and the sooner we determine a route, and the sooner we have our grant specialists help us find some money for at least a demonstration project on part of it, we'll be able to start building the ridership. Thank you.
Anything,
So
Commissioner?
just a couple of points. I want to make sure, we talked about it earlier, and I was reminded of it. Alhambra Water Tower, do we have that project fully funded? Because I know we thought we fully funded it 2 years ago. We were expecting it to be completed by this year. It still hasn't been done. I just want to make sure that we're not falling short on the financials, because I'm sure the cost continues to rise.
So we currently have it funded at the estimate that we expected based on the plans. If the estimate comes in greater than what we have funded, we'll work through the manager's office to identify funding. Similar to all of these discussions here throughout the year, some of the items that we have for design or for construction are estimates, and so where we come below the estimate, hopefully the market's changing a little bit and our estimates, maybe we're coming a little below this year. It has not been true for the last couple of years. We work through the manager's office to identify either any funds that are available within projects to redirect to things of this nature, whether it's within traffic calming or within sidewalk repairs, sidewalk expansions. But we'll evaluate that as we come closer to bidding out the project, and we'll come to you if there's an additional need that we identify. We also may have additional mobility fees or impact fees or park impact fees that come in. And so throughout the year, where those become available, we can always come back, amend the budget, and bring those in to fund some of these projects as needed.
All right, and then the other thing I had spoken to the fire chief about during the last storm that we had here, when I visited the Emergency Operations Center during the storm, if there's a way to find funding for additional weather stations to place in those coastal neighborhoods with cameras, that way we can see as the water is rising and we can be ready to address it as soon as the storm is passed. It shouldn't be an extraordinary cost, but it is something that it can help us with the disaster relief following a storm, especially in those coastal areas.
May I just add something to that? So can we have a memo to the commission on items that I talked about at the end of the commission meeting? I may have forgotten some, and what the commission is talking about now is just final little pieces that we hope we can find funding. We hope. Mm-hmm. We know that we got to see. If we're lucky, for example, Phyllis Park came in 1.2 million under, maybe we have more than enough funding. The water tower discussion. I'm going to go on a limb here. I'm pretty sure it's going to be really expensive. The type of construction is, in my opinion, and the opinion of a lot of people who are in the business, it's a recipe for disaster. It's a every 10-year project. Mm-hmm. We need to find, I know that this is going to be against historic. I know they want to stay true, but every 2 years it's not going to be 2 million. The next time it's going to be 3 million and 4 million and 5 million. And we really have to get an understanding, Mr. Manager, and I would love for you to speak to the commission and give us different options of how maybe we can use products that do not deteriorate as fast as what's happening with the water tower right now. I know it's lath, and I know that obviously that doesn't hold up well in the environment, but there's got to be something better.
Through the mayor, we're looking into that right now, because I think we need to use products that have more longevity, especially if you're looking at 100 feet. You can't see whether that's a composite or whether that's wood once it's painted white. We also use a chalky paint, which is great for historical but has no protection. So we're looking into products right now that would provide that historical look, but that would generate a longer life between these major repairs that we have to do.
And the comments of Commissioner Fernandez in regards to the fire chief's statement, wholeheartedly agree. I've always wondered why we don't have cameras that give us a bird's eye view of what's coming and what happened. I mean, you can imagine we have an amazing facility, public safety building, and we don't have cameras on the water, which will give us, an immediate idea of what we're facing. So I think it's a great idea. If we could have a memo, just kind of with an idea of what, for example, what will it cost for the cameras at Coco Plum? Maybe it's $10,000. Just put a $10,000 budget item or $5,000 budget item. So we can see, okay, these are 15 items that the commission said are small items that we want to study, or things that we want to do now. Cameras on the waterway, cameras in Coco Plum. Let me tell you why I think Coco Plum was a big issue. I don't know how to deal with the Ubers anymore, and I'm literally getting calls every day. We had a walkthrough at Coco Plum. The residents are saying that it's really bad. They're defecating, they're hanging out. It's a nightmare in regards to traffic. I need to build a case, because I'm speaking to the people at Uber, and they're giving us a geofence. But if I don't have a camera there to be able to provide them with data, I'm going off a cell phone, and I can't be there, or the residents can't be there, saying they drive by and they just call me and say, hey, listen, this continues to be an issue. And also safety, traffic. We want to monitor traffic. We want to monitor safety. We want to understand if there's an accident, those kind of things.
I think that intersection, or that circle in particular, has been an issue with the crosswalk in front of Coco Plum, because folks are trying to make that left turn into Coco Plum. The traffic that's coming up Old Cutler is the one that they're focused on. And similar to the issue that we were speaking about the other day on that crosswalk, their focus is on the cars, not on the pedestrians. And by the time they see the pedestrian's in front of their car. So cameras could help us maybe find solutions to those issues as well, and get creative. We're going to need the county's assistance on that. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is that there's also a state component to that circle, correct?
Through the mayor, when the county it's a county road at that point. It's FDOT until US 1, and when the county does the bridge, there will also be redoing Coco Plum Circle. So and hopefully, a lot of things will be taken care of at that time.
And when you walk underneath the Coco Plum Bridge, we should have cameras there. When you're there at night and you realize how dark it is, and you go around the Coco Plum Circle, those cameras are an immediate deterrent. Case in point, Hermes will tell you, the manager will tell you, we used to have a lot of illegal dumping in North Gables. We put up those cameras. Guess what happened? 95% reduction in illegal dumping. Cameras work, because nobody wants to get caught on camera breaking into somebody's car or, going to the bathroom. I know people got to go to the bathroom, but you can't go to the bathroom in front of Coco Plum. That's not the place to go. Or, God forbid, something even worse, commit a horrible crime.
Through the mayor?
Yeah.
The county is projecting a start date on those two projects now on the summer of 26.
Okay.
So certainly, Mayor, we can, I'm sorry.
No, there was something you had brought up last budget hearing about the funding for underline. Was that finally included in the budget?
So that is currently not included in the budget, but we have that, and I was going to get to that. So we can prepare a memo with all of the items that you've mentioned. You mentioned the crosswalk, the pavers on Miracle Mile and Giralda, so we'll respond to you regarding that.
Well, but if I may, that saves us money.
Once we have a plan for the crosswalks, we'll determine the cost, but some of that money is for Giralda and Miracle Mile. So we'll address that in the memo. Okay. Everything that you've mentioned, the PFAL funding, Flagler, we've talked about. You mentioned the underline, so through the manager's office, we'll work with you on what the right number is. Let me rectify,
it was 27, the summer of 27 for Coco Plum Circle and the bridge. We were asked for $180,000 for this year, and it is $300,000 a mile for next year for $900,000
So let me tell you about the underline. While it pains me to say this, I'm gonna do the same thing I did with the white way lights. The mechanism, the legislation that I wrote that puts a percentage of permit fees that go into the parks, that I think the spread is 65-35, 65 for acquiring, 35 for maintenance. A big portion is gonna have to be used for the underline. For this, we are right now, South Miami's committed and the city of Miami are committed. We're gonna have to put that $180,000. Imagine we're the only city that doesn't put it in for maintenance. We talked about this. It's not what we agreed upon. It's not what we agreed upon. I understand, but that train has left the station already. We're beyond that, you know.
And through the manager's office, we'll have the conversation of whether those funds are sufficient for the requests that we have.
No, but I understand that. But the first request is 180. I know it's only going to go up, okay? And I know, and I think that the manager and you should have a conversation with my colleagues in the commission. When I sponsored that legislation, along with everybody else, we were not aware that it was going to be for overhead and maintenance. You know, this was going to be one time, and then the county was going to address it, or they were going to raise sufficient funds to have an endowment. That's no longer the case. So I will not, and I know my colleagues in the commission are not going to allow for a 3-mile stretch of park here in the city to not be properly maintained, to have graffiti, to have, may I say, an issue with homelessness, you know, an issue with crime. You know, we need to maintain it up to our standards. Our back is against the wall. I don't know how else to do it, and I'm giving you a revenue stream that doesn't come out of the general fund. It comes from the permit fees that we use to acquire parks, which we've used in different areas. If it's allowed, it's not allowed.
So that's those are park impact fees, and they cannot be used for maintenance.
No, they're not.
They're intended, so the park impact fees are intended for purchase of land and enhancement of parks for expansion, right? So we can only use those funds for the enhancement of a park that is because of increased demand. So a one-time use of an enhancement, but the ongoing maintenance is probably not within that legislation.
Through
So
the mayor.
there may be a solution to this.
And there may be
$180,000
solutions.
could be appropriated to a park that we currently haven't appropriated from there, and that $180,000 could be appropriated to the underline from the general fund.
Through the mayor? Yeah. We already do that type of switch, Commissioner. We could, however, the RTC issues on US 1, we have a potential $4 million loss
No, but
in
we,
Parks Fund. So
we,
that's
well,
something
you
that
and
we
I,
need to-
you and I are gonna sit down with Commissioner Regalado and Commissioner Orbis and talk about that separately. You and I are gonna schedule a meeting in the next 2 weeks, because listen, the RTC's here, it's not going anywhere, but we can't have a $4 million impact fee loss. We can't maintain a city like that. It's just not gonna.
However, we can take that money, our impact money, use it on the park, and take that money and put it in the general fund and switch it around, Commissioner Fernandez, as you mentioned, and we do that effectively now. However, it is almost $1 million a year.
What I would like to see, if possible, is just a memo, a week, 2 weeks from now. There's not a hurry for this. Very simple, just with line items. Commissioner Lara may have 2 items that he wants, 3 items that he may be as important items that we want to start reviewing. Just start reviewing. Maybe you want to do a little study, or you want to add a camera, or you want to do something, and that really satisfies residents. Like, for example, they've been asking for this Coco Plum, a camera, for a long time. You know, then you have the issue of, for example, when we met with the residents last week on Country Club Prado, we told them, listen, we don't have the funding today. We may have the funding in a year, but let's start at least do a small study to understand what are we facing. And that gives us enough time to be able to come back with the residents and say, look, this is what we're facing. Are you happy with this type of, options to address your concerns in the neighborhood? Okay?
So
And
give
the
us a
underli-
couple of weeks to work through the
Yeah.
manager's office and with the departments, and we'll draft a memo for you as follow-up. I have all of the notes from this meeting and from last meeting as well.
And also
So
from the
we'll
end of the commission meeting we had today. I had some items too, and that we talked about.
I'm sure we have notes on that as well.
Through the mayor, yes, we have those notes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. That's it.
That's it. Great note taking. Anything else to add?
Just Venetia
Huge.
Trail, which came up earlier today. We were supposed to have had a meeting October of last year with the residents. That never happened. It's been a year since we were supposed to have that meeting. If we could get that meeting organized so that, I think we had a potential plan, or maybe 2 potential plans, if we can have a sit down with the residents in that area, because that's still a nightmare. I drive through there every day, And the number of people and bicycles that are heading morning, afternoon, and night through that area. At night, it's impossible to see people because there's very inadequate lighting, and it is a very narrow roadway. It's barely wide enough to fit 2 cars. And if you have a large car like mine, it's extremely difficult to get through because people drive on the center lane or in the center of the lane because of cars that are also parked on the side of the road. That's a new issue that we seem to be having. We have cars that are parking on the side of the road there, blocking the triangle of visibility. So you get to the corner of Alberca and Venetia, to make a left, you cannot see the cars that are coming, much less the bicycles and the pedestrians.
And then you don't have a sidewalk there. And then you think you're gonna put a sidewalk in the back of the houses on Alberca, but you can't because that's where they have their trash pits, and that's where they have a rear entrance to the back of the property. Very complicated. Hermes and Melissa will tell you, very complicated. But we need to, like the commissioner said, we need to go back and address this because at the end of the day, we made a promise, and that we have to have, this has to be part of the memo, at least a study to start the plans, to do the plans. If we could, I mean, this is a problem we're gonna have to tackle in 2026. We have to get this one done. And I think it's an easy opportunity because it's not such a big piece of property. It's just a bottleneck that meets right there. We can handle that. I'm telling you, I think we'll win a lot of fans.
Through the mayor.
Yeah.
I mean, historically, for those who weren't aware, and I know everybody in this room here is aware, that used to be just an alley. So you can't turn an alley into a two-way street and have a safe condition. And once we get the improvements in, you know, we may need to do things. Sometimes you have to put curbing around the corners to keep people away, or have that sidewalk there, and have some trees put in to keep people from blocking and narrowing the road unnecessarily. Looking forward to trying to get that problem solved because it is very dangerous. So.
All right.
Through the mayor, real quick?
Yes, sir.
So I'm not sure I recall, Paula, but remember we used to have a $50,000 budgeted amount for the renderings that were going to go to the Dover architect, right? And so is that still there, or what finally happened with that?
The high school money.
So
we're talking about.
the funding is still in that project because there was not a necessarily decision to go away from finalizing that study. I don't know what the status of the study or the rendering was.
I can say that the manager and I did meet with the chair of the school board, and we've continued conversations. We are exploring ways that maybe perhaps we can still reach maybe a joint agreement with the county, improve the school's track so that it can become something that the residents in that area can use. There is really no park space for them there. It may involve maybe a compromise from an ambitious plan that maybe was being discussed at one point. It may come down to just maybe some improvement of through lighting, you know, and using some of the very latest techniques and technology. But this is an ongoing conversation, right? You know, the manager and I have started going down that path. There's some very vocal and committed residents to wanting to pursue that as well. And so I'll keep that one kind of on the front burner as we go into discussions for next year.
If final cost for whatever is decided there ends up less than the 50,000, then we can certainly reallocate those funds the same way we do in any other project. If the final amount of a project ends up being less, we then have that available to reallocate to other needs, and so we have that flexibility.
So by way of update, I think what we're going to have done is we're going to go back to Dover Coal and ask them to redo renderings. Maybe they'll do it for nothing, because really what we might be looking at realistically is just some sort of lighting for the track, and we can actually not spend the 50 in that regard. It might be actually de minimis, the amount that we would need for a new kind of rendering, just to sort of get the ball rolling on that. And also another thing, and I'm glad, Mayor, that you're going to give us all an opportunity to kind of comment on this, but I do want to address some of the financial needs of the Coral Gables Museum. And the manager and I have also met with the board, and we will meet with you as well separately to be able to sort of isolate some ways that maybe we can improve that historical building.
Thank you.
for the mission.
I thought you were done. I apologize. Thank you.
Certainly.
Mayor, I have a
We'll include that in the memo.
Thank you.
I have a question for the Coral Gables High School, assuming it's just lighting or something. Is that something that park impact fees could be used for?
So
You can
I
answer it
don't-
later if you don't know.
Yeah,
I see that.
I'd have to understand the project and how it would fit into the requirements of the revenue. So depending on what the final product is, we can make that determination. But right now, I don't have park impact fees to apply to that project. We've applied it to other areas already. So right now, I don't have a balance
Through the mayor?
available to do that.
Vice Mayor, if it's an enhancement, then maybe we can do it. What we can't do is maintenance.
Okay, moving on.
Okay. And so the item before you is the ordinance to approve the millage of 5.559, and I look to our city attorney.
Yes, so item 3 is, and you'll indulge me, Mayor, because there's some required information I need to read. Item 3 is an ordinance providing for the levy of taxes for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025 and ending September 30th, 2026, fixing the rate of such levy, providing for the segregation and the application of the proceeds of such levy, providing for the separability of the provisions hereof, and providing that this ordinance shall become effective October 1st, 2025. Be it ordained by the Commission of the City of Coral Gables that in Section 1, that in compliance with the Constitution and laws of the state of Florida as now written, taxation is hereby levied upon all real and personal property within the present corporate limits of the City of Coral Gables for tax year 2025, a tax of 5.5590 mils, which is a 6.5% increase over the rolled back rate of 5.1951. All proceeds of the collection of this levy to be recorded into the general fund of the city and shall be reserved therein and dispersed, transferred therefrom for the sole and express purpose of paying the necessary operating and capital expenditures of the City of Coral Gables, its departments, offices, and properties for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2026.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do you have any public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right, close the public comment. I entertain a motion.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Clerk?
Vice Mayor Anderson?
Yes, for the reasons I previously stated, regarding the best way to help out individuals in our city is to start from the bottom up. We've done several things between last year and this year. Commissioner Fernandez's resolution today to give some money back to the veterans and individuals with limited income. We've had the reduction in the garbage fee, which helps everybody else, helps everybody at the bottom that are struggling and everybody equally. And the proposal that I brought forward for increasing homestead exemption. The initial proposal is just for individuals that are for caregivers and Alzheimer's and people that are blind to increase it to $50,000. We certainly can broaden that conversation. But that would put, about $819 and change back in people's pockets, as opposed to an amount that's, I think, $13.50 some odd cents if we do a reduction as previously discussed. So for that reason, my answer is yes.
Commissioner Castro?
Yes, my vote's going to be no. I completely agree with all the methods we are taking. I'm in support of the methods. However, I do believe that it is time that we that we show and demonstrate that we are serious about giving a tax cut. What I presented was a responsible, prudent, fiscally responsible tax cut, and I have to stand very firm in what I proposed. I believe is the most responsible way. I'm sorry I cannot be a yes on this one, but I do believe we are also helping our residents with the other methods we are taking.
Commissioner Fernandez?
So as I've mentioned before, I think we have taken, as the Vice Mayor was saying, measures to alleviate some of the tax burden on the residents who most need it in our community. We're still working with staff on finding ways to possibly continue reducing the garbage fee with a potential goal of eliminating it in the coming months. And I think right now we have a lot of capital projects that need to be addressed, including City Hall and other projects that we have mentioned already, sidewalk repairs. So I believe we need the funding right now to address these issues that are resident-driven initiatives. So for that reason, I'm voting yes.
Commissioner Lara?
Yeah, so this is the time to be prudent, keeping the millage rate at 5.559. is the right thing to do. I'm echoing the sentiments of Commissioner Fernandez, Vice Mayor Anderson as well. I think that, you know, if we're going to be serious about addressing the concerns that we all know, and from our finance team, as you've expressed it to us, revenue has declined significantly. Expenses continue to go up. Prudent thing is to remain steady and keep the millage rate exactly where it is. So my vote is yes.
Mayor Lago.
If you indulge me, right now is not the time to play politics or have an Instagram post. Right now is the time to be prudent, careful, and thoughtful. Again, it's not only the residents, it's you, the employees. Revenue is down. I offered a millage rate reduction when we had revenue increases of 11 and 10% in property values. Now we're in the fives this year. It's half of what it was before. Also, Commissioner Castro, as I detailed in my memo, almost $30 million of debt have been put onto the city over the next 10 years with COLAs, employees, salary increases for the commission, a litany of other issues that I think are fiscally irresponsible and show a real lack of business acumen. I made a request to lower the millage rate when we had property value increases of 11 and 10%. My reduction was going to be $200 to $300. It's on video. I've shown it a few times. I will spare you the brain damage. Melissa Castro voted no. Now she is proffering a millage rate reduction that will give each resident $13 after you've put $30 million worth of debt on this city. It doesn't make sense. Like Commissioner Lara said, now it's time to tighten our belt. Revenues are down and costs are up. If you told me that we were in the 12 or 13% property value increases, I would $13. I'm in favor of a millage rate reduction. I tried to do it for 2 years. But anybody who knows about business knows that you do not give yourself a salary increase when your revenues are going down. It's just common sense. That's how you sink a ship. So my vote is yes. Moving on to item 4.
Item 4, and there's certain required information I need to read into the record, is an ordinance adopting the annual budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025, and ending September 30th, 2026, providing for the separability of the provisions hereof, and providing that this ordinance shall become effective October 1st, 2025. Whereas the city manager prepared and on July 1st, 2025, submitted to the commission a budget estimate of the revenues and expenditures of all city departments, divisions, offices, and properties for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2025, and copies of such estimate have been made available for public viewing at the Coral Gables Library and the Office of the City Clerk. And whereas the budget estimate submitted to the Commission on July 1st, 2025, in the amount of $312,552,038 has been revised by the City Manager to include revenue and expenditure increases in the amount of $1,021,456, bringing the total budget amount to $313,573,494, and that the following summary of estimated revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2025 and ending September 30th, 2026 is hereby agreed upon and adopted along with the supporting data relating thereto on file with the Finance Department of the City of Coral Gables as the official 2025 to 2026 budget of the City of Coral Gables. Total operating revenues, $281,212,083. Total transfers from reserves, $32,361,411. Total revenues, $313,573,494. Estimated expenditures for all operating departments, capital and debt service. Total operating expense, $245,748,007. Capital projects, $53,021,235. Total debt service appropriation, $10,582,190. Total transfers to reserves, $4,222,062. Total expenditures, $313,573,494.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do you have any public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
Second.
Mr. Clerk, have a vote.
Commissioner Castro.
Yeah, before I vote on this, the mayor went ahead and, again, went on a political rant. So let me go ahead and rebuttal on that. You say you back the blue, right? However, you're the only vote to not vote for that COLA. Let me just put something in perspective that you have forgotten. That vote was a 4/5 vote. That means Commissioner Fernandez, Vice Mayor Rhonda Anderson, myself, and Commissioner Kirk Menendez voted on it. So when you're directing yourself to me, I think you should be talking to this whole body, except for yourself. So don't say you back the blue when you cannot even support them. There was a reason we lost 30 police officers in a period of 2 years when we had 0 vacancies. So you could keep on saying, I led this, and whatever is it that you keep on saying, I'm over it. Take responsibility that the whole commission made this. And stop saying you back the blue, because you don't. No.
Commissioner Fernandez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lara,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor Lago.
Before I respond, I'd like to respond to Commissioner Castro's comments about backing the blue. First and foremost, the largest pension agreement that was given in the city's history to the police, I voted in favor of it. Our police officers are compensated appropriately, and we are beyond grateful for the work that they do. So yes, I do back the blue. What I don't back is sinking the city in a COLA when, if I may correct Commissioner Castro, I think that she's forgetting. Madam Director, was staff in favor of that COLA, yes or no?
No, the staff's recommendation was not to approve the COLA.
But I'm happy that she brought this up because it gives me another opportunity to remind residents ahead of an election forthcoming why you cannot support Melissa Castro. When you raise your salary 101% and you hide it in a budget, you force me to vote against a budget, along with Vice Mayor Rhonda Anderson. The reason why I keep mentioning Commissioner Castro is because she's politicking by trying to lower the millage rate and give residents $13, instead of being a team player and understanding, like the rest of the commission, that revenues have gone down from 11 and 10% down to 5%, and costs are continuing to go up. This is all a political move to put on Instagram and basically say, look at what I'm doing. What I would recommend is that you concentrate on passing legislation instead of having meet and greets. Because at the end of the day, your resume and your reputation and what you're remembered for is what you did, not what you aspired or said to. This is not a beauty contest. It's time to get to work. My statement is yes, move on. Number 5.
Item 5 is a resolution of the City Commission adopting the capital improvement program for the fiscal years 2026 to 2030.
Mr. Clerk, do you have any public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right, I enter a motion.
I'll move it.
Second.
Commissioner Fernandez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lara,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Castro,
Yes.
Mayor Lago.
Yes. In closing, thank you very much. All of the work, all of the congratulations goes to staff. Thank you for your hard work. We are here today because of you, because of your commitment to the residents, and because of your commitment to the city beautiful. Our standards are upheld with your hard work, and hopefully we give you the tools necessary and the funding necessary to meet the standards that we request every single day. So I want to thank the Finance Department, all of your hard work. Thank you for meeting with us dozens of times. Thank you for explaining over and over and over again what a millage rate reduction will do, a cut, an increase, all the work that you have to do. And I know that sometimes it's tedious, it's hard work, it's incredibly hard work, it's tiresome, but you never say no. So I want to thank you. Mr. Manager, thank you for your hard work. Thank you for your dedication to the city beautiful. It's not an easy job. That's why we're under the lights and we make all the big money. We used to make more when we had 101% pay increase, but thank God we cut that back. But at the end of the day, you deserve all the credit along with your incredible staff, the DCM, the ACM, all the directors, all the employees that are here today. Thank you very much. God bless all of you, and I look forward to seeing you all again. Thank you very much.
Through the mayor.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mayor.
I am going to say one more thing, and it's respect is very important. And when you address me, respect me, because I'm trying my best attempt to respect you. If you want to debate me with facts, you do that, but don't attack me personally.